Okay, this is Sit Up again. We're talking Boston Celtics again. We have some extra topics at the very end, but this is really about talking how the Celtics signed 27-year-old Marcus Smart to a 4-year, $77 million extension. My current lineup that I'm working with, that I'm looking at based on salary and all this, is Marcus Smart, point guard; Josh Richardson, shooting guard; Jaylen Brown, small forward; Jason Tatum, power forward; Al Horford, center. And that is money wise: Smart 14.3 million, Richardson 11.6 million, Brown 26.7 million, Tatum 28.1 million, and Al Horford 27 million. And there's some good news here with the bench. The bench is really starting to look a little bit more formidable. Backup point guards: Dennis Schroeder, Peyton Pritchard, Kendrick Dunn, I forget, and Carson Edwards. Shooting guard bench: Romeo Langford and the guy that we just drafted in the second round, this Juhan Bagarin. Small forward bench: Aaron Nesmith and this dude that we signed on a two-way deal named Sam Hauser. Power forward bench: Bruno Fernando, Grant Williams, veteran Jabari Parker. And then center bench: Robert Williams, Enes Kanter. This is more than 14 people. I have from the bench, I have some names that, so here are the names that I would definitely keep from this list of people that you have on the bench. I would keep Dennis Schroeder, Peyton Pritchard, and Carson Edwards. I don't really care about this Dunn guy. Shooting guard, I would definitely keep Romeo Langford. And then small forward, I would definitely keep Aaron Nesmith. Power forward, I would keep Bruno Fernando, and center, I would keep both Robert Williams and Enes Kanter. And then the positions, I think with that, it's 13 players when you include the starters. And then the two that I would be debating between, well, probably the three that I would be debating between as my 14th person or on the roster would be that person we just drafted, the Bagarin, the Sam Hauser two-way guy, because we'll get to that, and Jabari Parker. Jabari Parker is probably the most likely two of those three that would make it on because they signed him and he's veteran, and the other two are very inexperienced. So I would imagine it would be those names and then Jabari Parker, with Sam Hauser and Bagarin not making the 14-man roster. Anyway, so with this in mind, let's talk about some stuff. So I think the Marcus Smart contract, it's a decent contract. I'd say it's a little bit high, but it's already on the lower end of deals that were in that price range. So I'm not that concerned about it. And the other thing about Marcus Smart is that he's a good size for a point guard. He's 6'3". So I'm bringing that up because there's been, with these people that I listen to, they were talking about how there's kind of a thing happening in the NBA right now with teams filling out their roster with bigger guards. Like, they're leaning towards bigger guards and they're leaning towards smaller bigs. And that's an interesting dynamic. I get that dynamic, although I'm very hesitant. I don't have a problem. Okay, here's the deal. If you're a small point guard, you really need to make up for your lack of height and strength and all that in terms of your skills. So you would need to be faster and you would need to be this and that and yada, yada, yada. And I feel like that's why people like Trae Young do well. So I wouldn't have a unreliable tiny point guard starting, is what I'm getting at. So when you have this mindset of big guards, small bigs, and you neglect the possibilities of having to go up against smaller point guards who might be able to have the advantage against your bigger point guards and stuff, or guards, it's an interesting because your big guards that you have on your roster are Marcus Smart 6'3" and Dennis Schroeder 6'3", and then your small bigs that you have on your roster are Robert Williams 6'8" and Al Horford 6'9". And then the people who play those positions like traditionally, like smaller point guards and bigger bigs, you have Carson Edwards 5'11" and Peyton Pritchard 6'1" for your guards, and then your big is Enes Kanter 6'10", which, yeah, I guess that's, you can't really complain about that. Other than, it's a big, and you would want them to be a little bit more defensive. And I know Kanter's not that, but I think you're making up for that with Robert Williams. So, those were my wild card people: Edwards, Pritchards, and Kanter. Because so I would have two of like the new style of basketball people. So I would personally have Smart and Schroeder, and then I would pick between Edwards and Pritchard as my third guy or third, guard or whatever. And then for the bigs, I don't really have a problem with them having Horford, Williams, and Kanter. I think that's a pretty solid big lineup that it hits a lot of different things. Kanter's Kanter. So other news: Summer League success. These are the players that were doing pretty well in the Summer League. We got Carson Edwards doing really well, Romeo Langford doing very well, Aaron Nesmith doing very well. The two-way Sam Hauser guy did really well, and Peyton Pritchard did very well. So yeah, that's good. That's very promising because a lot of the draft young guys have not really shown a lot. So it's good that they're at least showing some stuff in the Summer League to give us hope, as short-lived as it may be. So based on their situation, what they have available to them, I would say that they are still really suffering at that power forward position. If your backups are Jabari Parker, Grant Williams. So the people that I see as potential trade people to improve that spot on your roster, that and your small forward, in case Aaron Nesmith doesn't really work out despite doing well in Summer League. So I would, whichever of those wild card small point guards doesn't work out, between Carson Edwards and Peyton Pritchard, whichever one you don't like between those, I would use them. I would definitely get rid of this Dunn, Kendrick Dunn, I believe his name is. I have I have no use for him in my mind, so I would include him in some stuff. I would include Grant Williams and stuff. I would probably, if I would rather get rid of Grant Williams than get rid of Jabari Parker, but if I had to get rid of Jabari Parker in order to get a better point or power forward, I would do it. And then if I could get rid of Kanter to get a better power forward, but get a kind of so big 7 foot 6'11" kind of guy, I would do that as well. There's not a lot, it's weird, when you look at lists of the top 30 power forwards and the top 30 centers, it's 5 good people, and the rest of them are you would hear the name and be like, eh. So it's hard to say oh yeah, just upgrade the power forward. The only person that comes to mind that I like, again, this is a world where you would be playing Tatum as the small forward. I like Brandon Clark. He's on the Grizzlies. I would like him and there's not too many other guys. And then I know a lot of Celtics people were in this whole Miles Turner camp for center. But anyway, let's move on. So I did a thing here where I listed my idea of what the big threes of the top. I got the top 8 big threes in the East, in my opinion. And definitely let me know if you think I'm missing something, or if some of these players that I'm listing as the top 3 from that team, if you think there's another player that should be replacing one of these spots. So I have number 1 big 3, obviously the Nets. This is the East as well. Nets, Irving, Harden, Durant. Number 2 big 3, Bucks, Holiday, Middleton, Antetokounmpo. Hawks is number 3, Trae Young, John Collins, and Clint Capella. Celtics number 4, big three, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum. Although I'm not sure if Smart goes there or if Horford goes there. I'm not sure. Then number 5, I have the Heat with Lowry, Butler, and Adebayo. And then, Heat were number 5. Number 6, I have the Sixers with Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, and Embiid because they haven't gotten rid of Simmons yet. And I think I'll talk about that in a second. And then number 7, I have the Bulls with Lonzo Ball, DeMar DeRozan, and Zach LaVine. And then number 8, I have the Washington Wizards. I have their big three as Beal, Dinwiddie, and Bertans. Let me know if you think someone else should be in that top 8. Like I said, if there were people that were missing from the top 3s, if you think, oh, definitely not Smart, Horford, let me know. That kind of thing. Okay, some extra Celtics stuff. Ime Udoka, definitely excited to see because, he was in his initial press conference talking a lot about developing the young players. So, now that we see that these young players are doing well in Summer League, I'm excited to see what, time with him adds to that. Also, I like the idea of, over time throughout the season, him developing these players, potentially with the idea of flipping them. And I think that that's interesting because I think right now, like nobody from the bench for the Celtics is desirable other than like if Horford is starting and Robert Williams is on your bench, I think people might want him. But other than that, I don't think anyone is like going out of their way to get Edwards or Langford or Pritchard or anything like that. So if over time he can kind of raise their stock in order to get some different pieces, whatever he might need to do, that'll be interesting to see. And then I still have the Celtics, despite all the promise and the good kind of stuff that's been happening, I still am seeing the Celtics as a 6 seed. I did the big 3, so I have them as number 4 of the big 3s, but just in terms of the rest of the roster and stuff, I still have them likely to be 6th at the end of the next season. I have Nets number 1, Bucks number 2, Hawks number 3, and I could definitely see the Sixers and the Heat end up, just in terms of regular season wins and all that, getting more. So I see them as a 6 seed. So this is like the random other NBA stuff that I thought was interesting. Here's an idea. What if nobody trades for Ben Simmons and you just guarantee that the Sixers never go or win a finals? I just think that would be so funny to just like let that devolve into hell, just like Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons continuing to have to play together after Joel threw him under the bus, with the comments about the dunking, and obviously Ben Simmons fucked up there. So I would love for just no one to trade for Ben Simmons and just it be a situation where everyone is fucking miserable there. And I live in Pennsylvania, so to be able to see the frustration firsthand, that'd be great. Okay. So I don't have any idea of the possibilities of this. I don't think it's very possible. But I got this idea from watching the 2020-21 All-Star game because they had whichever team it was, it had Steph and Dame, and there was a point in time where they had Steph and Dame out on the court at the same time, and I liked it. And I just thought of a situation where how ridiculous of a starting 5 would it be if you had Dame at point guard, Steph at shooting guard, Clay at small forward, Draymond at power forward, and then James Wiseman or whatever. If you had to get rid of James Wiseman in order to get Dame, obviously people are going to do whatever they need to do to get Damian Lillard. But in a world where you say get rid of like Wiggins and some of your, the players that you just picked, or one of them or both of them, and then a future pick, and if you were able to do kind of a package like that where you're able to keep Wiseman, and obviously keep Draymond and Steph and Clay. I think that would be like, can you believe? Okay, I'm just gonna say it again: Dame, Steph, Clay, Draymond, and then throw a center in there. But let's just say they keep Wiseman. I think that'd be like ridiculous. Okay, and then we got some Ball brother news. So LiAngelo Ball doing well in the summer league for the Hornet summer league team. So maybe he'll end up being able to play with LaMelo Ball, his brother, which will be like kind of like it'll be like 3 years too late for that take, because way back in the day I made a video talking about because it was back when LiAngelo didn't get drafted, and I was at the time arguing why not just draft him, like, or not draft him, but like why not just sign him for nothing, let him play with Lonzo on the Lakers at the time, just see how it goes. Maybe, if they really do have that good chemistry, it'll be good. If not, whatever, you paid him nothing. He would probably take nothing to play in the NBA anyway. And then you could, the other point I said was you would be able to sell jerseys that have the same last name on it, but different numbers, which I think is a funny concept. So that's the one Ball news. The other Ball news is Lonzo Ball signed a 4-year, $80 to $85 million contract with the Bulls. And that's interesting because I wonder how much all of the brothers really care about playing with each other. Because you would think with two of them in Charlotte, it would be easier for like Lonzo to just be like, oh, I'm going there. Or I wonder if they have some sort of idea if they want to play for Chicago, or do they not want to play together at all? Or is this something that maybe it'll just randomly happen later on in their careers, assuming that they're all around for a bit. And then the last thing is to put, if you're out there and you're like, oh, we gave Marcus Smart too much money. I think these were the other $80-ish million deals that happened over this offseason. The Knicks gave Evan Fournier about 80 million. Would you rather give that money to, like, I'm just saying these to be like, would I rather have given that money to Marcus Smart, or would I rather have given it to Evan Fournier? I personally would have rather had Smart than Fournier. 80 million or so deal for Lonzo Ball. That hurts. I'd rather have Lonzo Ball than Marcus Smart personally, but we'll see. And it depends. I mean, I feel like that's 50-50. I could see either Lonzo or Marcus Smart turning out a similar way. So I lean towards Lonzo, but honestly, I would probably be fine with that either way. DeMar DeRozan signed an $80 million deal. That's tough. I feel like if I was in a situation where I had to give $80 million to either Marcus Smart or DeMar DeRozan, I'd probably just walk away. Just be like, I'll just save my money for next year. Because I don't know if either of those are like, I don't know. And then Mavericks gave Hardaway Jr. $80 million. So in context, not that bad. He's right. I think the deal that we gave Smart is better than the deal that Fournier got for the team. And I think that the deal that we gave Marcus, or, the Celtics gave Marcus, is better than the deal that they gave Hardaway for the team. It's just a matter of, would you rather be giving, $20 million a year or so to Lonzo, DeRozan, or Smart, and which of those players best fits Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum? I'm not sure. I understand the argument behind Marcus Smart, so I'm not upset about it. We'll see what happens. Yeah. So, okay, I don't really know how much more Celtic stuff is going to happen this summer, so we'll see. Have a good one, guys. Okay, bye, everybody. Bye.